Hello, welcome to Constituency Watch. Of course, it's a Friday on State of Affairs. My name is Nana Abba Anamwa. This program is streaming live on gh1tv.com, and also you can catch every single episode of this program on my YouTube page. That's Nana Abba Anamwa, if you can find it on YouTube. Tonight, we're focusing on the Efutu Constituency in the central region. So if you're a constituent of that constituency, or you have relatives who live there, well, would like you to join us ahead of the discussion with your contributions. The hashtag to use is State of Affairs across all social media platforms. In the meantime, we'll take a look at some stories, and this particular one is actually coming from that constituency, as Joseph Armstrong Alugbe was there today, and he reports that for 5 Ghana cedis daily, some children living along the coast have to sacrifice their future. One such area is Winneba, where children engage in fishing and sand winning at the expense of their education.
These children between the ages of 3 and 12 at Winneba visit the shores each day to engage in various activities. Regardless of the dangers involved, these children have to make ends meet at the expense of their education.
Anyone go school? What's it?
Ended up my band, no Maravina, Mokan, Addison, and Makajaman, also on Casamu.
Internet, Uban, so I base on Yana. Did I could say?
Massa, me, Terena, for
To this kind of common wine.
Mammy.
Some parents we spoke to confirmed that only a few are regular in school. They attributed the situation to poverty due to lack of jobs.
I'm Patam Bawum.
It might be now the money on some quail.
1 pound. I am no more guapo, and some compano. Now you're on the back, no more so. A Mosabo, no friend of Mosabo. And say, Bessa, no more Sabiaba. I will go, Nibimabato.
Now, one go school, eh?
Patron, I yell into Uncle School.
Can I send you one more? Uncle School, 2 cities. Scania send you one quart. No better uncle. More, no, put up. Oh, yeah,
Adamonia non be a jazz and Cronamungo school.
Where one look one, I'm afraid it's got what I'm at school. Into one, Iska.
25-year-old SK dropped out of school at age 10.
Oh, I decided I get boutique, but now they need to buy things, so they make a croissant.
Their hope is that those in authority will put measures in place to help the situation.
And whilst in that constituency, Armstrong also asked the electorates of the Efutu constituency what would win their vote for a parliamentary aspirant.
Well, I believe politics is all about development. So if we get a candidate who equally develop the entire society, the township as a whole, and even extend to Ghana as a whole, I think we'll consider that before voting.
We're just going to look at how productive they are going to, make use of like their power when they are being voted.
I would really want to look for how objective they are, what they stand for, what they believe in. If whatever message they are going to carry out for us to listen to, if it will serve my future interest. I mean, I don't have to look at how handsome or how ugly the person is.
The basic responsibility of a member of parliament is to legislate, to make laws. Yet he must demonstrate credibility and integrity in everything that he says or does in public. I think I will go for a member of parliament who has good relationship with a certain president, who can go and lobby for development to come to the area.
You look qualities before he votes for, and this Efutu constituency is our problem is our wealth, so that their canoes may be destroyed and things. Yeah, so it's a major problem that when they came and do it for us, they will give him the maximum vote.
So by all pure men say, they are Before I can vote for a parliamentary candidate or an aspirant, I need to weigh the person, whether the person has the person's vision and mission. Is the person coming to help the constituency as a whole, or is coming to help an individual?
Yepia da ewa huchima ana da obobo amman mamman wa kodo da bi oyin for na no kan bibiara na on game nto ho mayeyi no ntumi ye yempia ne dam yepia obi a okan oy.
What am I? Right, we'll move on. And Africa's leading media brand, EIB Network, has entered a partnership with famous lifestyle and entertainment media organization Trace. The mutually beneficial arrangement will see EIB make heavy use of Trace's content on radio, television, print, and online platforms. Trace operates 4 channels: Trace Urban, Trace Tropical, Trace Sports, and Trace Africa, which broadcasts in over 150 countries. And on that note, we take a short break. We return with Constituency Watch.
Rawlings, and you're watching State of Affairs.
All right, you're welcome back to the show. And remember to join the discussion with the hashtag State of Affairs on Twitter, Facebook, and other social media platforms. My guests tonight is Alexander Apenyo-Markin, who is Member of Parliament for the Efutu Constituency. We were expecting the PPP parliamentary candidate, but obviously he's not here. Hopefully he gets here in time. The NDC parliamentary candidate, Eric Don Arthur, said he couldn't make time for the show this evening. So we're waiting for the PPP candidate. If he doesn't get here, we'll still go ahead with Alex, who showed up to take the show seriously. Anyway, so here are some facts, quick facts about the Efutu constituency. So if you live in that constituency, that is the Efutu Constituency, I'd like to know what do you make so far about the pace of development in your constituency, and what do you also think about the candidates who are actually asking for your votes in the next election? And as I said earlier, the PPP candidate, Nano Fori, actually promised to be here. We're still expecting him. Hopefully he shows up. The NDC parliamentary candidate, Eric Don Arthur, said he couldn't make time for the show this evening. And Alexander Penyomark, who is Member of Parliament, the current Member of Parliament for the constituency, has actually showed up. So obviously he takes his constituents more seriously. It's good to have you here in the studio with us.
Good to have you, and good evening to you.
Good evening to you too.
And, good evening to our cherished viewers.
Absolutely.
And the constituents who I believe are very eager. I know they will be disappointed because they were expecting a debate.
Yeah.
They were expecting a situation where all of us would put forth our views on the way to go with respect to the development of Winneba.
Well, they must be happy to see you here.
Yes, of course. I mean, they know I'm always there for them. But just a few corrections. Our voter population now is over 47,000.
Right.
I think the 36,000 plus is with respect to the 2012. And then the constituency used to be Efutu Ewutu Senya in 1969.
69.
Yes. And then, of course, in 1992, we had the Ewutu Senya, which was different from Efutu. So Senya and Fete aren't part of us. We have the main Winneba Township.
Is Senya the same as Senya Breku?
Breku, Senya, you pass Breku before you go to Senya.
Okay.
That's a different constituency, and that is now Ewutu Senya East.
Okay.
And then we have the West, which is the Kaswa area. But Winneba, we have the main township. Then we have communities like Osubonpenyin, Ate to Atechedo, Warababa, New Winneba, which is on the Swedro Road. Then you go to Jahazi, Jenjenazi in Swetchi. Then you have a small community called Silver Crow, where we have the pumping.
Silver Crow.
Silver, yes.
What
Silver
do they
Crow.
do there?
No, they are farmers. No, they are farmers.
So why is it called Silver Crow?
The founder of that little community was known as Silver. Nana
right.
Silver.
Okay.
And then you have the Ekrofo, which is another small community just after Osubonpenyin and before Atetu. So that's, and then we have the Akosua village where would they do the dragnet fishing.
Interesting names in your constituency.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get into the discussion because Armstrong was there earlier in the day. I spoke to a number of constituents as you heard them a short while ago, and also the story about children fishing instead of being in the classroom. I mean, that is a major concern for me because education must be given all the priority it deserves. So as a member of parliament, has it come to your notice, and I'm sure you're well aware, that some of these children do not show up for school?
Yeah, Naba, this is a known fact. I served as an assemblyman for 8 years and a presiding member for 4 years before becoming a member of parliament. So I know that as a reality, that some of our children do not go to school. And they don't go to school not because they don't want to, but because the parents do not have the means to support them to go to school. And the problem is along the coast, where we have the fishermen and the fishmongers. And I believe that is the reason why there was an intervention like the free education for the primary all the way to JHS. And of course, this problem is not only Winneba matter. And then also the school feeding was introduced. And statistics point to the fact that when we had the school feeding, when same was introduced, we had the school, the children going to school, the population going up. Of course, today, the school feeding is not functioning that well. So if a parent would have to give 1 cedi to the child, and he does not have the 1 cedi, obviously that child cannot go to school. It is for us.
So the lack of incentives is responsible for these children.
Partly. And then, of course, our fishermen are facing major problems. Look, they're not getting a good catch because of petroleum. So if you follow the interview properly, one lady was saying that Nancy Wonyanam, and it's true. Last week I engaged some of them, and they said, look, you go and buy the premix. Even the premix, getting it is a problem. Then you go and the petrolers will be disturbing you. So they come back home. If they come back home, the fuel, I have some canoes fishing for me. And if they come, you've given them money for fuel, and they've spent over 500 Ghana cedi, and they come empty-handed. The women who normally are the traders who support them would have to take care of their living. Okay, so if about 10 people are in a canoe, or 15 are in a canoe, and over a period they don't get a good catch, it means that those women who are supporting them by way of selling their fish would have to look for loans to support them. And you see, if in this case, the priority will be what you need for your stomach, but not what would take a child to school, which is unfortunate though. So I believe that broadly, if government is able to deal with the issue of petroleum, and then we are able to also regularize the supply of premix, it will help our fishermen along the coast. And of course, we need a coastal. Government has started this somewhere.
You don't have storage facilities.
We don't have it
at all.
No, not at all. We just don't have it. Okay, it was part of the CDB facility that government was going to get the coastals along the. But as we speak, it's been 8 years that has not come, and this is a big project that would cost over $1 million. So it's not something that a common fund can even do it. So these incentives that would help the fishermen, once they are there, then of course they are able to also take care of the basic needs of their children, because it's only along the coast, and it's a reality, it's a challenge that I believe over time we would have to deal with it, but it must be driven by government policy.
How long has this decline been going on? Because if you say that the capitation grants and the school feeding, for instance, were keeping these children, a number of these children in school, and for some time now they are more into fishing instead of sitting in the classroom, then it's a big concern, because I want to believe that every parent understands the importance of education for their children.
You see, the point is that the man is a fisherman. He appreciates the need to have his child or his children in school.
Right.
But he doesn't have the means. So what does he do? The problem is, it's a joint responsibility.
But the school feeding program is still in session. It hasn't collapsed. Well, we're still getting children fed in school.
No, as it is today, we have it functioning at Atetu, which is a farming community.
Okay.
If you go to Methodist school, if you go to Presby, if you go to Unipra South, okay, if you go to Anglican, if you go to Urban Council School, these are the schools that the children of these fishermen attend. Catholic school. If the school feeding is not there, is not functioning there, obviously, you don't expect people to go to school when they don't have the means. And I'm telling you that the school feeding is not functioning in these schools where you have a lot of the children of these fishermen going to school.
They're not covered?
No, at all. Okay? Even at Akosua village, where we have the dragnet fishermen, most of their children go to school at Unipra South Primary, because that is closer to them. School feeding is not there. Okay? So, obviously...
So which areas are covered by the school feeding program then?
Actively it's at Atetu, for now. And even so, it's not that regular, as a matter of fact, because the caterers don't get paid regularly. Even those that are paid to get on with the school feeding, the quality of the food. I visited Atetu some time back, and it was bad, the kind of food that the children
How do you judge a bad meal? I mean...
Oh, I eat, don't I?
Yes, you do.
So if I see a bad
your taste buds are different from my taste buds. What would be horrible?
It's a standard
you could be sumptuous.
If you see soup,
I would consider very sumptuous.
Soup is soup in the standard form.
Some like light soup. Some like their soup very thick.
No, but you know the obvious.
You cannot.
If you go, it's
I
like
don't know
going
the obvious. You cannot take a look at a meal and say
it's like somebody.
Bad.
It's like somebody going to the prisons, going to Isawom, and coming to tell you that look, the food that we are served is
That's
horrible.
a prison. That's a different matter.
Oh,
but
so
this
is it-
school
is
feeding.
it- no,
well,
no.
I don't know. I've never been to prison. I don't know what the food
But
is
you've not
like.
visited there.
I've visited there, but I'm saying
You
that
never
you
had the experience of.
You cannot look at a meal and then say it is bad. You can't just take a look at a meal and then you're judging a book by its cover.
If somebody is served with soup
Uh-huh.
without a fish, without any fish, is it a good soup?
Vegetarian.
If it has no beans
That was
in
just
it.
by the way.
So, Nanaba, broadly speaking, it is important for our government to take some of these things seriously. It's our job as members of parliament to put forth some of these arguments.
Have you been lobbying to get the school feeding program to extend its coverage to these communities you mentioned?
As far back as my days as a presiding member.
And
I
you've not
put in
been
a
listened to?
Well, the fact is that it's a national problem. The government is not able to deal with this because if the government takes school feeding as a serious policy...
It does. Just recently, 67 million or so has been disbursed to the program.
For same to be expanded? No. To pay
because
outstanding.
you're trying to suggest that the government doesn't take the school feeding program
I don't
seriously,
see...
but they do take it
No,
seriously.
well, if we are putting Winneba as an example, I wouldn't say that the government takes school feeding serious. Winneba as an example. Because I'm happy your people visited the constituency. I'm happy your people...
Well, these are some of the children in school, obviously, playtime. So you have
interview.
very good facilities. You have good buildings.
This is Urban Council. That is at my electoral area where I was assemblyman.
Beautiful buildings, actually.
Yeah,
You don't suffer the fate of schools under trees.
In all fairness, we don't have that as a problem.
Fantastic.
We don't have that as a problem. At least the last time we had a problem, that was 2014. I intervened. That was Ansafo. They had a primary school, and it was a new school. The class 6 students were getting to the JHS, and they didn't have.
Right.
So the headmistress wrote to me, and I quickly intervened with a new JHS block, and they have it.
Ah, great.
You know, if you go to New Windeba, they have it. So the various communities have it. And we have a number of private schools that are also coming up, and those that can afford have their children there. So really, in all fairness, schools under trees, I wouldn't say we have.
And you as the sitting MP, I mean, you're well educated. You're a very great lawyer, one of the best young lawyers this country has. And you've gone through, you know, you've climbed the ladders of education to this extent or to this far. And you see these children who are still not in school or not taking school seriously, not the children, but their parents, not taking the school seriously because of the reasons you have mentioned. So going by those reasons, it's probably not their fault because they probably, you know the importance of education, but there are obstacles, there are impediments in their way. If you're retained as the MP, how are you going to ensure that these children get back to school and actually stop going to the seaside to engage in those activities we saw them in?
Now, let me answer your question by first telling you what I've been doing so far. Because at least I'm now in office. I sat with the education directorate at the municipality. And there were a few things that we came up with. One was to encourage reading in the public schools. Because you know that the private schools do well, and the public schools are where we have problems. So we instituted a quiz competition among the various public schools. And the whole essence of it was to ensure that we inculcate reading habits in these children to let them appreciate the fact that it is the basics that they need. Then 2, teacher motivation. When I became a member of parliament, I was told by the education directorate upon interaction that look, for over 6 years, they've not been able to have this best teacher award. So I fully funded a best teacher award to also motivate our teachers, which had not been done for over 6 years. Then the mock examination and some other facilities that the education directorate needed. And then, of course, the scholarship program. I have instituted a very broad scholarship program in Winneba. The essence of it is to help the needy but brilliant students we have.
How many children have benefited so far from this scholarship
I would deal with the numbers, in categories.
Okay.
One, I've done one with the churches, where about 15 churches have set up minimum of 5,000 Ghana cedi. The whole plan is that I don't want it to be partisan, so that the churches would know those children who are needy and brilliant, so they do so and bring the returns. Okay. From the churches so far, I've had a list of 250 who have been benefiting. And they bring the returns, and then I pay back. Then the one that I've centralized for the Muslim...
Is this coming from your common fund?
Of course, not only common fund, the common fund, and of course also my personal resources.
Okay.
And then the one that I am administering, where we have a chunk of them at Winneba School of Business and Winneba Secondary School. So for the Winneba School of Business, the proprietor, who happened to be the former MC, has a gentleman's agreement where he allows the children to have the full term, and then he brings the invoice and we pay. In fact, we owe him. The last time we owed 25,000 Ghana cedis, and he wrote a love letter to me. And then we had to go and pay 8,000. They prepared a check of 8,000 for him. So that is that, to take care of those children, because you have people who have completed JHS and because of money. Even this morning, I had a list. Somebody had aggregate 8 and could not go to secondary school. We have a tall list of children in various schools that have dropped out because of school fees. So that I've taken care of, and they are still on. Today, people started writing exam. We can come look at them in the house, that they were going to start the exams and they needed to pay their fees. If you don't pay, they will sack you. And we had to look for money. We had to go and borrow to keep them in school. So for now, the scholarship is working, and we always take the results. And also those who
are you seeing improvement in the results?
Of course. And let me pay tribute to the former MCE, Honorable Niye Ephraim. I worked with him closely, and he was always on the teachers. He encouraged, in fact, the assembly, we had to do a joint funding to make sure that the assembly, the education directorate, organized mock for them, and also held public fora at various times to get the parent to appreciate the need to get their children to school, and also encourage our teachers to find time and spend time on our kids. But like I said, should I get the next opportunity, I would encourage government to come out with a policy that would enable our fisher folks to be economically productive. Look, I am part of them. Like I told you earlier, I have some canoes that are working for me. I've been supplying outboard motors to them. I've been supplying wire mesh for some time. My fishermen have been unable to pay for outboard motors. They will do the deposits, and you give them about 6 to 10 months to pay the rest. For some time, they've not been able to pay. Why? Because they go for fishing, they don't get a catch. Through our government policy, we've allowed petroling to functioning on our waters. If you go to Cote d'Ivoire, and they know, you go to Cote d'Ivoire, there's no petroling. You go to Togo, there's no petroling. So our fishermen...
But we've done some work to get rid of this petroling.
No, but we license them to work. It's for our Navy to do the enforcement and do so effectively.
And they are not?
I'm not too sure. Because if you go and stand at Pinche, or if you go to Sankur or Kokobim and stand there, you see in the evening, around 6, 7, you see the light. Okay? Government must also seriously tackle this light fishing problem, so that our fishermen can really get their catch, take care of their children, take care of their needs. That is a policy that must be done. Then at the landing beach, I was disappointed when government capped the CDB loan to $1.5 billion and then took away the landing beach project out of it. Okay? This was a good initiative that, to me, if it had been done, the fishermen would have benefited a great deal and be able to take care of their kids. So on the policy side, if this is done, it would help. Which parent would not want to take care of the child if the child, he has the means? I started school in Winneba. I had my primary JHS in Winneba until I went to St. Augustine's. My mom did not have it.
You didn't go to Winneba Secondary?
Oh, I wanted to attend a Kali school.
Right.
Not because I didn't want Winneba Secondary.
Okay.
I wanted to go to a Kali school. I wanted to experience a boarding life. Okay. So I had a
Don't worry, don't pay attention to when I bring
Don't worry, I mean, it's only fair. I'm proud of Winnisec. I mean, it has the best of products. I mean, they score very highly. The teachers are very hardworking, very committed. But of course, I wanted to have a boarding house experience and a Catholic education because I'm a Catholic. Now, I know what my mom went through. Look, in my final year at St. Augustine's, had I not won a scholarship, I wouldn't have been able to register for my SSC. My stepfather, I lived with my stepdad. My stepdad was amazing, working at Pomazi Pottery. They were not being paid. Of course, my dad was in exile. And my mom, a petty trader. She was a people teacher. And later, when the redeployment, the structure adjustment took off, she was kicked out of the classroom. Petty trading. She couldn't take care of my education. My stepdad did not have it. So, final year was critical. From SS1, SS2, some good friends. You know, I had the privilege of befriending rich kids.
Good for you.
Yeah. So, I was teaching them. So, I was coming from Kojobedu. I walk all the way to Locust. That is where you see life of pomp and ease. So they will introduce me to their parents. I got into the Ekem family, the Akpanu family, the Mensa families, and they were very good Christians. So they would say, who is this? So our friend, very intelligent. And so I remember Mr. Ekem paying my school fees, Mr. Mensa, the Akpanu family, taking good care of me and all that. Final year was very critical. I did not have the means. And Parkway Sindom, Dr. Parkway Sindom, instituted a scholarship at St. Augustine's. That when he was there, he was the best student for government, history, and all that. So he set up a scholarship that any student who is able to top the class, he would benefit from that bursary or whatever. Yeah. So I studied hard. I prayed well for the favor of God. And eventually, that was the saving grace. So in my final year, I taught my class, government, history, literature, and the prize I had was what I used to pay to register. Perhaps if I had not had that privilege, I wouldn't be where I am. Going to Cape Coast University, flying out to Buckingham University, coming back to Ghana Law School, going back to Bradford for my master's and all that. I think that was a unique privilege I had. My dream is to see Efutu and its children benefiting from education so that they realize their ambition. That is why education is very key. And I have a scheme for those who are dropouts but still would want to learn a skill. So far.
What scheme is this?
That is the Youth Empowerment Program. And the focus is on the women. I was very sad when one time I saw some ladies in traffic going to Winneba and they started calling me Nei. I turned around because, our language, once they start speaking Efutu, you wake up. I said, they were selling pure water. Later, I met the Winneba Citizens Association in Accra, and they told me about their predicament. They didn't even have a place to sleep. They come back home pregnant and all that. So we set up this scheme. And so far, within 3 years, by the grace of God, we've been able to give 3,000 sewing machines to these dropouts. And they've been learning their trade. We've distributed them to various centers of learning where some of them have successfully graduated. Some had kids, they've accepted, and they are learning the trade. Seamstressing. Some hairdressers, we have 3,020. The last 20, I got a good friend who bought me 20 hair dryers, this less depth size. And then I distributed, I went to them one-on-one, those who graduated in December. And just last week, we got 20. So we have 3,020 of the ladies who have learned how to do the hairdressing. And then 20 of them who have learned, studied seamstressing. And then those who want to have vocational training are also our German volunteers. The Germans set up a vocational training institute for us just after Winneba Roundabout. It's on your left. And they are there. So that at least we close the gap. If you're unable to get formal education up to the secondary level, at least you have a trade of which you are proud of that would also earn you an income. So that you don't need to come to Accra to sell pure water and all that. Just yesterday, I was at a place called Machingele, just after Wager, and our fisher folks, you know, we have a Efutu community there. They are predominantly fishermen. And we had to go and listen to them because some of their folks have benefited from this vocational training support, getting them welding machines, sending them to learn fitting, sending them to learn masonry, carpentry, and all that. And they had heard of it. So we went there to give them some orientation and say, look, for those of you, it's good. Fishing is not a bad idea. But if you are a laborer on somebody's canoe and you think that you want to learn a trade, look, we want to give you the platform, the opportunity. We've heard you are here. 3 months ago, I was at IEG. And on this one, let me also commend our brother Kofi Annan, Challenging Heights. He's done a great job pulling out most of these. Maybe if Kofi had not done what he has done, you would have come to Winneba to meet a lot of them dropping out, because he has set up a school where we have Challenging High School. He has rescued most of our children from Yeji area. And when I went to Yeji, I was marveled. Okay? People who desire to have education, and because of poverty, they are unable to. And this man has rescued, and we're able to talk to some of them, and they came in, and we are supporting them. Okay. So it's a challenge that I believe that it's not only the member of parliament whose initiative can resolve it all. There are many others who are playing various roles.
What's the relationship between you and the MCE?
The new MCE, very perfect. I mean, he was a government appointee assembly member when I was an assemblyman. Fortunately, he's a chief. I mean, for one of the communities, Osborne Payne. He calls it Osborne City. He's a retired NCC senior officer. He comes across as a very determined person who is ready. He understands issues. He calls himself a civic educationist. And he's always ready. We are on very good terms. We talk. We agree. Recently, when we had a water crisis, we worked together. As I was pushing from the floor of the House, he was also lobbying the minister. And eventually, we agreed to put pressure on the ministry. And NADMO came in with an intervention. And the agreement was that the assembly would pay for the cost of fuel. And we got the water supplied, at least in some areas. Although, in between, it took a partisan turn where my colleague, unfortunately, he's not here, Eric, placed his poster on the tanker that he is bringing water when he had no idea. But that's part of politics anyway. But the water was supplied.
So he was taking advantage?
As usual, you should expect it. But I was not worried, because the whole world knew how I had advocated for the need to deal with the Winneba water crisis.
So the impression that has been created that he solved the water crisis.
He attempted to create that impression.
He attempted to create
but
an impression.
The reality is that people know that he couldn't have.
So he had no hand in it?
Not at all. I don't, and I'm happy. I would have been happy to have him here for us to deal with real issues, because I raised it on the floor of the House, and about your station carried it. I even interlocked it with the issue of galamsey. I went into the core.
We'll talk about galamsey. We'll talk about that galamsey pretty soon.
Drew attention of the nation to the effect of galamsey, because our problem in Winneba was because we're not getting water flowing upstream into the Ayensu. It wasn't because of any other thing.
We'll talk about galamsey and the effect it's had on your constituency.
But let me admit quickly that my good friend Samson Ahi, although we had a banter, he did well. The situation has improved because they discovered another water source, and they started.
I bet he will tell you that he's working for you. His party is working for you.
No, you see, there's a limit to partisan politics. Nanaba, we're dealing with national issues. At least, I should be fair. If the president has done something for the constituency, should I still come here and condemn him? That will not win me vote. That is not what would win Anado the presidency. Let's be objective. At least we, the political class, must demonstrate to those who are watching us or those that we rule that, look, we appreciate each other. If you go to the United States, why? A brother does something good because he's not in the party you belong, you should condemn it? No. If Mr. President does it well, Mr. President, thank you. After all, Efutu is part of Ghana, isn't it? So it's not that I would always be criticizing. It's not a guarantee for my victory, or it's not a guarantee for Nanado's victory.
Okay, but well done, though, for lobbying to get the water problem.
We need more.
Water problem solved. At least that's one for Mr. Samson Ahi. Honorable Samson Ahi. Well done to him. Okay, now let's move away. I actually want us to focus more on the water crisis that you experienced recently. Is this something that happens quite often?
Well, in the years past, we used to have this water crisis, and people were carrying gallons some 20 years ago.
The yellow gallon?
Well, maybe at the time I was very young, so
it wasn't yellow.
I wouldn't have known whether those gallons were yellow. But the Catholic Church and the then Member of Parliament, Dr. Atwa Yobiakwa, took the initiative. And I think that initiative yielded some benefits. And eventually, government of Ghana under President Rawlings secured a facility for the Winneba water expansion project to commence. Eventually, it was completed in 2002 under President Kufuor. And recently, the rehabilitation works that government started in Konyakun and other areas, Winneba is benefiting. So new pipes are being laid for the purpose of expansion. When I became a member of parliament, I started at Southwest Roundabout. But we laid some few pipes, and the district manager told me that, Alex, it's not enough. You need a whole big thing to be done. So I'm happy that government added that expansion to the list of projects that are being done. Eventually, when same is completed, I believe that those at Southwest Roundabout, the Ansafo area, would appreciate. But the bottom line is that if we continue to invest without solving the fundamental problem of galamsey affecting our water bodies, look, we would not be able to supply water.
What do you tell these, I have to say, galamseyers? I mean, because we know the threat of the activities of illegal mining on the environment. And it's been said that, I mean, do you organize clinics often in your constituency?
Not too often.
Not too, why?
Well, we have health facilities.
No, I'm talking about clinics.
As in the
meeting.
Of course, we do that.
Okay.
I mean, it's a regular something that we do. But we don't have galamsey as a problem in Efutu, by the way.
You don't?
No, not at all. We don't. But you see...
So how is it affecting the water bodies in your area? Or it's coming from...
The water flow from upstream come into the Ayensu. And because some water bodies are affected, you don't get the regular flow.
You bear the brunt.
Of course, because we are the coast. Now, you see, Nanaba, there's sometimes we are politicians, we get cowed by our own people.
How?
Sometimes for fear of losing elections. We are unable to take those bold decisions that would benefit the larger population. If you read the Constitution, in particular, Article 2576, the president has a constitutional mandate, which mandate is given to him to administer authority on all these water bodies. So all these water bodies, the minerals and natural resources are vested in Mr. President. So Mr. President, we know, exercises such powers through state institutions, Minerals Commission, and all that. If people begin to engage in galamsey, we have law enforcement agencies. We have state institutions that have that core mandate to stop them. But sometimes, I remember when I raised galamsey, some of my own colleagues privately told me that, when you're lucky, say, won't feed mining community. So straight away, these my colleagues, for fear of perhaps not winning elections,
and for fear of their lives,
or their own lives, they can speak against galamsey. It is unfortunate, I'm afraid to say that. It is unfortunate because I am a member of the Finance Committee. I know the huge loans that government has procured to ensure expansion of water supply. And if at the end of the day, the very money that we are spending to expand water, the water is not there, then how do we pay for these loans? Two, it's not only water supply that galamsey affect. Cocoa. I've said it several. That some cousins of mine from Inswechi, who are on my great-grandfather's farms at the Asin area, came to me that, oh, cousin, You're to turn in Kofor to turn one cocoa, as I was the galamsey. So I should give them money to go and hire a machine. And I looked at them, I was surprised. And we know how cocoa production is going down. So people are cutting down their cocoa trees for galamsey. Is the government saying it's not aware? At what point would we stop them? People are not getting the water for their farms. And we are not getting sufficient rainfall. As a result of deforestation, people who engage in galamsey operations after getting their gold and whatnot, they don't take care of the reforestation, the recovery of the environment. Do they? They don't. So at the end of the day, it's a whole national crisis. So I would urge government, whether it is Mahama government of today or Nanado government of tomorrow, to take care of this issue of galamsey. People must earn a living. I agree. There is unemployment. But it does not mean that we should engage in activities that would affect the national economy.
Okay, you're so sure Nanado will win the elections?
Oh, I am optimistic. I am optimistic
Where you
about...
say the Nanado of tomorrow, I mean.
Of course, Nanaba, you see, you don't need a prophet to tell you that 2016 is for Nanado. You don't. You don't. The realities on the ground.
Well, I don't expect you to say otherwise.
But I'm being very sincere with you. Okay. Anyway, the realities on the ground are such that if we don't get a change, we can't be sure of what
are the
direction we'll be
realities?
going.
I mean, you sat down here and you've told us about the water expansion in your constituency. And if your constituents have been looking forward to such expansion, and this administration has made that expansion possible, what reality are you talking about again?
Social services that our people need may not be unlimited, but they must be adequate. All right? So, for instance, if we have a fishing population, people need to get their work done, and they are unable to get a catch. Their children are unable to go to school. And you are dealing with a population of over 10,000 just at the seashore. And they are affected. They are poor. You have a problem. 2, if you have farmers who need farm input, who need support, and government is not supporting them, you have a problem. You have a health insurance system which is not functioning well. You have a problem. If you have people who are unable to afford the prepaid, they go and buy electricity. 2-3 days, it's finished. They have to buy again. And government produces power at a high cost. You have a problem. You have a situation whereby prices go up on daily basis, sometimes even hourly, because you go to the market, you go and buy, the next time you go, prices have gone up. There's a problem. That is the reality. Of course, you pay taxes. Of course, the government is procuring loans. So you don't expect the government not to do anything at all. But if you look at the services that are being provided, vis-a-vis the needs of the people, the inelasticity there is compelling enough to say that, look, we need a change to be able to ensure a true better Ghana. If you don't change. After all, we had the Rawlings coming in for 8 years. The first NDC administration was for 8 years. We had a Kufuor administration and NDC, an MPP for 8 years. This year is the 8th year of the NDC. Forget about the issue of President Mills's death and the fact that President Mahama is doing a first term because the constitution says so. You are looking at a party. He is not there as an independent candidate. He is in as a party leader. And his party has been in office for 8 years. What else has NDC got to offer Ghanaians that we've not seen in the past 8 years? So I think Nanado has demonstrated...
What are you going to offer that Ghanaians haven't seen in the last 8 years?
Nanado has demonstrated his love for this country. He's demonstrated commitment. He just turned 72. You ask yourself, if he really has nothing to offer, why would he continue to burden himself to serve his people? He has proven to be a man of enduring patience. You know what happened in 2008? He lost under 42,000. In 2012, when he had issues with elections, he didn't say go onto the streets and fight. He said, look, let's respect the rule of law.
He couldn't have said that.
No, but Nanaba, in all fairness, in some other jurisdictions, we know it.
But this is Ghana.
No.
This is not other jurisdictions.
Nanaba.
He couldn't
no,
have said that.
Let's not really talk in absolute terms. Let's talk in relative terms. We've had other jurisdictions
absolutely
where challenges with
elections,
outcome of elections have led to instability, etc., etc.
Absolutely.
I'm saying that
even neighboring
yes,
Ivory Coast, we don't need to go far.
At least let's lift him up and say that, look, you are being commended. He is proving that he would want to rise to eminence by merit and live respected as a leader and die regretted.
So it was in his interest?
No, in the interest of Mother Ghana. He has set a good example.
That one too?
No, he set a good example for the generality of Ghanaians to know that he loves his nation. He wants to see his nation a united nation. He wants to set an example by saying, look, let's respect our court system. And a lot of politicians don't have confidence in the court system when it comes to elections.
He's a lawyer of repute.
Of course.
If he doesn't believe in the court system, I don't know who should believe in the court system.
No, but you would agree with me that example is compelling enough to encourage somebody else to follow due process. Don't you think so? Don't you think? Look, to lose an election where you think that something has gone wrong, it's not an easy thing to... I lost an election by a single vote in 2008.
You didn't hit the streets?
No,
you didn't go grabbing machetes?
No, I needed not to.
Exactly.
Because I believe that there was always another opportunity for me.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yes, and I'm saying that by doing that, he demonstrated his love for this country.
Okay.
Okay? And I believe that if he gets the opportunity, Ghanaians will see what he also has in him. Forget about tribe, forget about where he comes from, forget about
That's
age
why he's asking
all that.
Ghanaians to give him a
that
chance.
Give him, when in 2012, I said, Somishe in Winneba. And I'm repeating that Ghanaians, one son and another Somishe. One son in Ghana for one son and another.
All right, let me take some comments right now. Our MPs are now dreamers. He wants to know what you're doing for the people to benefit. I think he's outlined a good number of them. Let me just go for the hashtag here and see the comments so far. But remember, you can join the discussion by using the hashtag State of Affairs. Okay. Abdul Mui says, Nana Adma, Honorable Afenyo marking very much, even though I'm NDC. I was disappointed by the whole ADB bribery allegation, and I'm glad ADB has come out to clarify it. Honorable Afenyo marking, are you aware of the Children's Act? The first two pages are solutions to the problems facing children in your constituency. Okay. Can we have our politicians on TV and radio to talk about when they can offer, about what they can offer than compare? I don't really understand you, Fifi. If you can just send me that tweet again. It's a shame. This is coming from Evan Stete, who says that it's a shame that the NDC candidate couldn't make it. He can't stand the heat from Afenyo Markin. That's according to Evan Stete. Ebenezer Edronum says, I'm so disappointed the NDC parliamentary candidate isn't there. Obviously, he has nothing to offer and nothing to say to us. Norte Ban Mensa, a student of Winneba Secondary, he says that I'm happy to see Honorable Afenyo marking on your show. Hopefully 2016 November, I will vote for him. Nana, but where is the NDC parliamentary candidate? He couldn't make time for the show. I'm sorry. Abdul Yusufu says, I want to find out from the Honorable Afenyo marking what he has done since he's been in office to ensure that fishermen get more fishes from the sea. Okay.
Well, I think...
You pray, I guess.
Well, I think if we are able to address
the petrolling and other issues.
Because the last engagement I had with them, they complained bitterly that their colleagues, their friends who go to Abidjan and those who are in Togo, okay, they come home with good money and they are putting up buildings. And they are here at home, and because the petrolling is still persistent, they're having problems. They go and they come back home with debt.
I thought we've made some inroads in dealing with this petrolling, really.
You see, sometimes we talk about issues, we make them campaign issues, and later we abandon them. I do not. In reality, I wish the ministry officials would get the opportunity to address this, but I do not think that so far government has been so serious on this matter of petroling.
They haven't?
I don't think.
Well,
because
that's your
the
opinion.
ordinary fisherman, Nanaba, I'm not being partisan here.
Okay.
But the ordinary fisherman in Winneba knows that in Ivory Coast, the Navy is effective in enforcement. Okay?
The Navy is very visible on our waters. Here.
I'm telling you what the fishermen in Winneba have been telling me. That they have some of their people in Cote d'Ivoire who are fishing there. And they tell me that the Ivorian Navy does not allow petroling. They have also raised the Togo situation, that they have people who are in Togo.
And both countries are doing
so why are we allowing? But I wanted to address an issue with the absence of Eric. I don't see why he gets so paranoid about issue.
Because I understand there was a similar debate in
he ran away last
minute.
He said the people. But when I was contesting in 2012, you see, I was an ordinary assembly member. I was contesting a cabinet minister.
I just want to find out.
I made myself available.
Well,
I don't know why.
Eric, well, because I was going to come to that message that he was invited to a similar debate at the University of Education in Winneba.
I was supposed to be somewhere today on a parliamentary assignment.
Yeah, and he didn't show up. Well, this evening as well, he didn't show up. And that probably answers your question, Lansani Wari, who's asking why I didn't invite the NDC parliamentary candidate. Well, I did. And he just didn't show up. It was Alex who showed up for the show. So I cannot be blamed. Foster Abari, before we go on a break, Foster Abari says it would have been interesting to find out from Eric Don Arthur why he lied that he solved the water problem in that constituency. Maybe it's a reason he didn't show up. Well, I do not know. We're taking a short break. This is State of Affairs on GH1 TV. When we return, we'll be talking about health and then unemployment. Stay with us.
This is former President J.J. Rawlings, and you're watching State of Affairs on GH1.
Welcome back to the show. This is State of Affairs, and it's Friday, and we take a look at some constituencies and the issues that are really important to the constituents as we head to the polls later this year. And my guest is the Honorable Apenyo Markin, who is Member of Parliament for the Efutu Constituency, the constituency on our radar tonight, and the NDC parliamentary candidate, Eric Don Arthur, could not show up. Well, could not show up. I don't have an excuse for him, but he said that he couldn't make time for the show this evening. The PPP candidate could not show up as well. He said he was coming, but he's not here. But obviously, Alex Apenem Marking, who had other things, made time for his constituents to be on the show this evening. Now, let's talk about healthcare in your constituency. I remember you telling me some time ago that you have a state-of-the-art hospital in that constituency, but you lacked certain facilities. Has that been solved now?
Partially. I think in my days as a presiding member, I put together a team to do a documentary, and one of the TV stations aired that for us, and eventually the government of President Kufuor secured a loan for the trauma center. I'm happy to say that when President Mills came, he continued the project, and today we have that state-of-the-art health facility in Winneba. The problem is that we don't have experts, specialists to man that hospital, because
so you have the facilities there.
We have all the equipment. There are equipment still under lock and key.
State of the art.
Everything new. You have air-conditioned wards. Everything. new, but I asked an urgent question on it, and the minister was on the floor last year and assured the people of Efutu that they were going to post some specialists there. As we speak, just a week ago, I spoke to him again to remind him that it's a problem, because when we're not supposed to send accident victims or people.
And that stretch records a good number
we
of
have a lot of accident there, and some people
quite
have.
Sad.
Yes, I mean, some people who have backaches and problems with their spine would have to come to Kolebu and 37 or
when
go to Mampo when we have a center sitting there. So that is a major problem, and that facility is a legacy of the 2006 group of assembly members we had in Efutu. And I would want to mention my good brother Yakubu Bari, who supported that initiative with other colleagues. We served as at the assembly at the time. Now, apart from that as a problem, we have the general hospital, and the place was gutted with fire 2 years ago, and I had to put up a whole structure for their stores. So I got them a new medical stores, and then also built a mother's hostel for them, because the children's ward, parents could not get a place to sleep for so many years. So I put up a new facility, we call it mother's hostel, and we've commissioned it and handed over. And then the maternity ward, that's where our mothers harvest. And we needed to do renovation. That has also been done, and we're expanding the theater, you know.
Okay.
And I set up a fund to train some of our medical staff, particularly the nurses. And then we have another facility at the weighing center, getting closer to the South Campus of the university. That place, there's a new structure that I'm sponsoring, and then renovated the bungalow for one of the doctors. For health insurance, I've registered 3,000 people. Basically, we looked at various communities. Akosia village, 180 people benefited. And you go to Jahazi, we had over 100 benefiting. Ansafo, Joma area, my own area, Kojobedu, where I was an assemblyman. And then you go to the Eyipe electoral area, the Penche, Alata Kukodo, which we call Alata Chenche. So all those areas, we've had people benefiting. And so far, since 2013 to date, we've had over 3,000 people who have financed their health insurance cards. And then there is a little fund for healthcare. And I realized that a lot of our women who were coming to me complaining of health problems had this issue of fibroid. I'm not a medical expert, but I realized that was a problem. So I set up a special health fund to support people who had to do the operation. And so far, from 2013 to date, not less than 30 people have been. Just even this morning, when I was leaving in Winneba, a lady came to me in pain that she's supposed to pay 1,000 Ghana. She's been able to raise about 500 and needed support. And the doctor said, you know, it's only when the fibroid is removed that she'll be fine. So I'm taking advantage of your platform to appeal to those volunteer groups, those NGOs, if they can make this as a project to come and do a screening for us in our constituency and even fund some of these operations. Fantastic. Because really people are in pain. And I thank you for not yanking me off and allowing me in the platform to appeal to people to support.
And women.
I know you want a woman governor.
Yeah, and other things, and other positions to be occupied by women. But before, do you have enough chip compounds in your?
We have one at Zongo community, which was initiated by the former MP just before he left office. And when I came, I've done two. The one at Ansafo, and then we also have one in the rural area between when you from.
When you say you've done two, what do you mean? You used your money to do it?
No, cheap compounds are not. Of course,
I know, because he said I have done two.
No, it is not your money. I mean, these are state funded.
I know. I just wanted to be clear.
Very
he said I have done.
Very well.
Yeah.
Of course, when I said the former MP did one, I didn't mean he used I mean, it is supposed to be
of
done.
Of course, absolutely.
Is that not? No, but let me clear this.
No.
Sometimes
There's nothing to clear here.
No, for the purposes of the discussions we're having, maybe you don't see it, but I've realized that of late, the impression is created as if you are a political leader in opposition, you need not get something good in your constituency, or you don't have to even push for something good for your constituency. Your job is just to criticize. And if you are able to...
I don't think you're that kind of MP.
Not at all. But where the thing is done, you realize that people trying to take the shine away from you. Because I believe strongly that...
Who's taking your shine?
Oh, we had an example where somebody goes to paste his pictures.
You mean Eric?
He
tried it with the chip compounds as well.
No, he's tried it on the road. You know, recently in
He
December.
put his post on the road?
No, he says that he has lobbied for a road.
How did he lobby for the road?
Very well. That's a quick. I wish he would. You know, in fact, the way I prepared us to have
when was the road constructed?
It has just started. We have a lot of potholes in Winneba.
Okay.
From the roundabout all the way to Taxi Rank, if you use the Kwantanen Road to Sekejano, all the roads there, the potholes, very bad.
So the construction just started?
It just started. The filling of potholes and asphalting same. And I recall...
Do you recognize
Yeah, sure. That's it. Okay. I recall that in December, when the government brought the emergency taxes on petroleum products, the main reason given was that, look, they would want to help the Ghana Road Fund to be able to improve on our road network. I'm a member of the finance committee. One of the very things that the assurances that we got was that, look, at least your constituency will see an improvement. As a member of parliament, if I had sat there unconcerned and nothing had been done, Nanaba, wouldn't they have said that, oh, even Alex Nabredo, Portos Ipiaba, wouldn't they say that? And when in your own time, you're able to work hard and this thing comes, somebody would want to say that as a candidate, he is doing that. And even Maslock, we started taking Maslock to Winneba way back 2007. People have benefited from Maslock over the years. Recently, he gets support from his party members and say, look, I'm going to lobby 30,000. So
Eric is jumping on projects you have initiated. I wish he was here.
No, that is why some of these engagements are very important.
Why he's putting his posters on projects not initiated by him.
You don't know anything about it.
If he really did that. Anyway, there's a couple of comments here. Prince Owuswa someone says, I'm glad Eric couldn't make it to the show because he has nothing to offer to us. Unemployment is a major issue in Efutu. Nimo, he says, I'm Nimo at, wow, Eputuja. I'm not getting it right, baby. You have very interesting names.
Yeah, what's the spelling? No.
Okay, let's move
on. Is it Sekejano? We have something.
It's not Sekejano. Oh, come on.
Does
I know A and S.
It starts with an A. I'm trying to...
I know the difference between A and S. Okay, Bevu Kwame says, now I'm really enjoying the discussion on your show. The last bit of your comments, Bevu, I will not read because it's a very rude comment. I will not read that one out. Jack Knife says, this talk about eulogizing Anado for not encouraging violence after defeat is ludicrous. You agree? Sometimes it's really ludicrous, isn't it, Alex?
That's somebody's opinion.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sharing that opinion for some reason because he's not the only presidential candidate who's lost an election in this country. Professor Mills lost the elections. Did we say that Professor Mills is this and that because he didn't take to the streets or he didn't order people to hit the streets? He's not the first person who's lost the elections. President Kufuor lost the elections at some point, didn't he?
Nanaba, put it in proper context.
No, I'm just asking you. I mean, he's not the only candidate who's lost the elections. I don't want us to even delve into that.
That is your mischief. Hold
on.
It
is not mischief.
You can one of your several. Oh,
I mean,
Nana,
yes.
You are quick to.
I'm just saying.
Is it a rhetorical question you're asking?
Yeah.
You don't expect an answer from me?
No.
Very well. Then why did you direct it at me?
I'm just saying.
Okay, let me.
He's not the only candidate who's lost the elections.
Let me
Nanado is a fantastic lawyer. He's a great man. He's a very peaceful man. you know, very, very peaceful man. But this thing about Nanado chose the
Hold
court.
on.
It's not Nanado would even consider that. He won't consider. He's a peaceful man. Yes.
Let's spend a minute on this matter.
No, we are moving on. We are so moving on.
I'm seeking your leave. I've made an application.
I'm sorry, but I'll decline. You see, I'm not even looking into your eyes.
It doesn't matter.
Because it hurts me that I say no to you.
Yes, but
we are
the point is
we are moving on.
We know the situation
Alex, we
in
are moving
Africa.
on. Alex, we are moving on.
Very well.
Thank you very much.
Very well.
Okay.
Let me respect that.
Thank you very much. Unemployment, Alex, is a big issue. It's not just in your constituency, across the country.
Well,
it is.
I think that
And the mainstay in your constituency is fishing.
fishing, farming.
Okay, farming. What do they cultivate mostly?
We have a chunk of vegetable farmers. Most of these green pepper, cabbage, carrots that come to Accra, they come from Winneba.
Right.
And then we have our people cultivating maize, cassava.
How's that going?
No, it's going well. In terms of agriculture, when I came in, I bought a tractor to support the rural communities. And then the farming, the vegetable farmers, I realized that most of them were young guys. And they had a very bad experience. Could you imagine that?
Oh, you have young people
into farming in Winneba. Most of the people I supported.
A piece of good news.
No, about 99% of the vegetable farmers in Winneba are between the ages of 21 to 45.
Fantastic.
You don't have old people. These are people who have engaged in farming.
Fantastic.
As a means of economic
that's good. Gain.
Now, the point is that they had a bad experience. And I tell you, they told me that, look, because they didn't have money, they will go and borrow, say, 1,000 Ghana cedis to start, get seedlings, get some fertilizers and all that. And at the end of the day, when they're harvesting, you know what? The business women who were investing in them would come and take everything. They will go to Accra, go and sell. They will come and tell you how much they've gotten. You have no say in it. That was a very bad experience. Though I have not been able to solve all their problems, but what I did was to get them to put themselves in groups, okay? And then we're able to disburse some funds to them to support them. At least, the net effect was that some of them who could not do 3 acres came back to me that, oh, Honorable, I was able to do 3 acres. I used to do 1 acre. Now I've been able to do 5 acres. The last group was the Kasina Nankana group, who said they had a language barrier. And they knew that I was supporting some of them, and they couldn't come to me. So somebody told them, look, the MP is a very simple person. You go to his house, he's wearing shorts, T-shirts, so go to him. And they felt encouraged to come.
Look at you flying yourself.
Oh, but that's the reality.
Okay.
I'm the people's man.
Right.
No, but I'm not an arrogant person, am I?
No.
If you come to Winneba, ask them. I'm not bossy. So that is the truth.
Okay.
So they came and I engaged them. I said, look, forget about language. Let's get on board. And they also got their support. They later came up with the problem of irrigation. So I had to engage the regional directorate, and I bought the pumping machines from them and supplied it to the various groups. And so far, it's been going well in terms of agriculture. It's not only the fisher folks who have benefited from the outboard motors and the wire mesh and support for their business, their fishing, but our farmers at least have also gotten the support. And let me also add that the assembly has been very proactive. The assembly has been very proactive, at least during the tenure of Honorable Niem Ephraim of blessed memory. He gave a lot of support to the fishermen. The assembly itself, the farmers, the assembly itself had a tractor, and that supported the farmers, and some also got some fertilizers and all that. Now, at least one major achievement in terms of infrastructure is the Millennium Development Goal support from the World Bank, which I would commend Auntie Gladys Gatti. She works at the Ministry of Finance. When I went to Parliament, the first man, she called me and said, look, Alex, I need to go show you somewhere. And eventually, we managed to get the World Bank to come to our rescue. I worked together with the MCE. So the Eastern bypass road from Sanko, it started right from Yapemso Junction, where we have Akramano, all the way to Jenjenaze. As we speak, at least up to the Osborne where the MCE comes from, they've completed that project. And from Osborne to Jenjenaze, which is the last town before you get to Ojobi, that is also being done. And the World Bank also supported us on the Western Corridor, which has also just started. So at least we've gotten some support. The Winneba State Lorry Station has been paved.
Right.
And the Winneba roundabout, the junction, Winneba Junction. Now when you get to Winneba Junction and it's raining, you are at peace.
Okay. I have to ply that road one of these days.
If you don't want to use the main road, then when you get to Efutu Breku, you use the Ojobi Road. Okay. And that is shorter to enter Winneba. Okay. And your people would not need
You've mentioned so many names this evening, I can't even remember.
I will assist you when the time comes.
Anyway, so we have just a few minutes to wrap up. I want you to give your constituents the reason why they should vote for you. But do you see Eric Donald as a threat to you? I mean, he's a former TV presenter, quite loved by his fans. Is he a threat to you?
Now, first of all,
okay, make this very quickly. Yeah, Alex, I know how you start your sentences.
I believe that to win an election, you must first rely on your strengths.
Okay.
I contested a cabinet minister. I relied on my strengths and my faith in God, and I won it.
He's got strengths and he's got faith in God too.
I'm saying that I would rely on my strength and my faith in God.
He would do the same.
That's not a problem.
Okay.
In a football match, the desire of the competing teams would be to win. I wish him well. But I believe that I come on board with some substance. The people of Efutu know that I've always lived with them and I've always voted in Winneba. They know that I have been an assemblyman. I've served them at all levels. They know that before I became an assemblyman, I was engaged in community work where I set up an NGO to support needy but brilliant children and to pull people out of poverty and to support our women folks. The people of Winneba know that my company Excel, which I set up some years back, engaged and trained them and provided them with employment. And they know that for the purpose of advocacy, I've always been there.
All right.
Seeing to their needs. And I would continue to serve them without looking at party colors.
I gave you 1 minute and now you're doing almost 3 minutes, Alex.
So I pray for the opportunity to continue to serve them.
Okay.
Oh, Nana, you've not closed.
I'm closing now.
They are not here.
Who?
The rest are not here, so I can make it 3.
But you've had 1 hour and how many minutes?
Well,
20 or 25 minutes.
I must be grateful.
That they didn't show up.
Oh, perhaps somebody didn't want to. As for my good brother, Nanofori, who were at the university
debate together
program. And I'm sure that if he were to be around, he would have participated. I'm not too sure.
Good luck to him as well.
Of my other friend on the side of the NDC. Because he has been avoiding an engagement of this sort to discuss
more important things to do.
Well, it's a matter of choice.
Of course.
I believe that to really fortify our democracy and to get the people to appreciate the substance in us and what we have for them, we should engage them and have such a lively debate, not to engage in blackmail, politics of insult, and name calling and all that.
Okay,
that's
Alex.
not the people of Winneba want.
Okay, Alex, thank you.
I thank the Efutu people. You don't want me to speak Efutu?
I will in a minute. Let's go for this Vox Pop.
Very.
Shortly.
We beg on the politicians that this 2016 election, you should know how to campaign so that it wouldn't bring any fight among we the youth. And we the youth are the future leaders. So we beg on you to please know how to campaign so that you can bring the youth together.
Yeah, what can I say? Teachers na into your mukan a hard drink because you're ready to be bria almost a normal how I do because into your muka. I think say omo areas na kan ye fa ma omo and na prepaid no so ukota wo kwa na wo use prepaid no and so ukota bi ha nipa ba ko 40 cedis and do 2 weeks na asa e higher than we ye adwuma od ni nyina beto credit We are Juma, we didn't have never yet ding, and yes, son, on your baby my.
Lighting us some me person can a lighting in Dimbo, me to credit 30 cedis. And do 1 week, Krana Asa.
I would like to say I want the government to help us with the school fees because it's going higher. First time we paid, and this time it has developed like it has more than what we paid last time. And it is really affecting our parents, which sometimes they are not able to pay. And it's difficult for the school authorities to let us write exams. And this brings very big effect.
All right, so thank you for those responses, obviously telling us the expectations as we head to the polls later this year. Alex, we are just about wrapping up. You wanted to speak Efutu. How do you say thank you in Efutu?
Medanashi.
Who?
Medanashi. I'm speaking the
Medanashi.
Medanashi. So I'm a camel. Medanashi. You know, the typical one.
It sounds like Ga and Fante put together.
Yeah, it's a Guan language, Efutu.
Right.
Well, it would be in the interim.
Look in this camera.
Medanashi. And I carry politics. Mende each house, which was quite far Kamaba. Ka Anna Vanini, and the brother, my mabo and this him. Muneshimpa, Manufu,
what are you saying?
Musreche Maba. Ka Yemamu na Atapapenbo, Obotoko Papa da Mombo, ne Utoma, into Omeshimpa. But you wabe, na nata.
University.
I'm organized debate. Musre, and the Musre, Mother.
What are you
saying? Mother.
Okay, let's cut it there.
Oh, Omka, Madam, wait to me now, which Kafra. Ibe Foman Anubu. Mombo crowd to my bombato. Mouse money, or chinopa, and abo kifit, or scarfa. On your t shirt and told me,
Alex, thank you very much.
Anuba kifit. Not to quafa. It was so none. No scarfa.
Okay, I had kifit. There's an exercise going on.
We have a kifit tomorrow.
Okay, thank you
so
very
I only
much.
said
I had kifit.
For those who
and you also campaigned against Eric.
That
I don't know what you said, but I suspect you did.
No. I said that.
I suspect you did.
No, I said that.
Thank you very much.
He walks in by his mouth. Two yards. Run away.
Thank you very much for your time, Alexander Fenyamake, Member of Parliament for the Efutu Constituency.
No, but thank you. I appreciate. And I thank everybody for spending time to watch this program.
Absolutely. Right, so he said my thank you. We'll see you next week, Monday. There's more coming up. Peace Hide is coming up next with Friday night special. It is. We'll see you next week, Monday.